Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for your time today, coming to listen to us, tell you about a brief overview about the Partnerships for Inclusion of Neurodiversity in Schools national pilot project, being delivered collaboratively across Surrey County Council, the LSPA, Family Voice Surrey and Mindworks. If for anybody who hasn't met me before, my name is Jackie Pomeroy. I'm the service manager of the LSPA, and I'll be presenting this today with my colleague, Dr. Dave Damon, who I'll let introduce himself now.
Thanks, Jackie. I'm Dave Damon. I'm an educational psychologist. I work in Mindworks in the school-based needs team with a particular focus on whole school approaches to emotional well-being, mental health.
I think so. So Dave and I'll be co-presenting today across various parts of this. Aggie, can we move to the next slide, please? Okay. So just a couple of brief online housekeeping points just to make this more effective for you. We will, as you can see, be recording this, and we will publish it on our Send Local Offer Pins webpage. The chat function will not be recorded, but please do use it for submitting any questions that you have during the presentation. We will, about midway through, be having a short interactive task. There is a QR code below there. If you want to take the opportunity now to whip out a phone or a tablet and get your Menti page open to use, please just do scan the QR code now. If not, don't worry, we'll put it up again when it gets to the right point, and the access code. We wanted to give you some advance warning. We've had some questions submitted in advance, and I've looked at those, and I think they will be at least partially answered by the information that we're about to share. But all questions at the end of the day, if we can't answer them, we will get back to you. Ones that we can answer, we're going to have some time at the end of this webinar to discuss, but we will be collating all of the questions and developing a series of FAQs, which again will be on the PINS webpage on the local offer. And we will email this presentation to you after the webinar, so you'll have access to all of the slides and information if you need to discuss with colleagues. So if we move on to the next slide, please, Aggie. I'm going to hand over to Dave here to talk more about neurodiversity and neurodivergence and how this will support the children in your school. Do you, Dave? Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. So yes, I think fundamental to the PINS support offer is this idea that good SEND practice is good practice for all kids. It's just good, inclusive practice. And that's beneficial for all children, young people in our organisations, in our care. It does have an ND focus. I think it's just helpful looking at this visual to unpick a little bit around our shared language of ND. PINS absolutely covers, and it's an opportunity for additional support around ASD and ADHD. That's a particular type of neurodivergence that's identifiable and recognised. But also, this is an opportunity to support a broader spectrum of neurodivergence, and you can see some different labels or identifiers there. But we can go one step further. That's neurodivergence, when there are particular examples of individual difference past a certain threshold. But this is also about neurodiversity, that more kind of constellation of individual difference common to all of us. We're each unique. We each have our own particular ways of accessing or thriving in the environments we find ourselves. And that's really that idea of a kind of constellation or a mix and match of individual difference outside of the labels on that wheel there. I think inclusion is the headline, isn't it? This is about inclusive practices at the case-by-case level.
Thank you, Dave. Right, moving on to the nuts and bolts of the fencing. So thought it's really important for schools who have not already put in an expression of interest, and those of you who have, I think it's really important that you have a good sense of what will be expected of you and your school. And when we thought about it, we thought, well, actually, this is something that we probably recognise. It is a cycle of assess, plan, do, review. The whole PINS pilot project starts with a self-evaluation by the end of this academic year. So you as a school, with your parent participation group, undertaking that self-evaluation about what you believe are your areas where you could improve, make a change, the things you could do better. So that is stage one. Together with your support partner, and we will talk to you more about support partners in the next slide or two, so just hold on to that for a moment. You will plan what training resources from the menu of support would enable you to deliver better outcomes for ND children. And that is really important. So it's about a bespoke training offer for your school that meets the needs of your school in its community and the parent participation group around it. So we're really looking at that holistic approach of supporting everybody to deliver better outcomes for children. From term one of the new academic year, you will be seeing training and support delivered in your school. It's delivered flexibly in a way that works with the school. It works with the right people in your school, so it won't necessarily all be going through the Senko or through school leaders. We may be delivering support via your frontline SEND support staff, with your homeschool link workers, for example. It absolutely depends on the needs of your specific school and what we can deliver that would be best for you. You'll be expected to have, over the period from September to March, 3 partnership meetings with your parent participation group. And the parent participation groups are a really, really key element of PINS that, again, we're going to tell you a little bit more about in just a moment. And in term 3, so the end of March, so around the Easter holidays of the new academic year, you'll be undertaking an evaluation, reporting progress against outcomes. Your parent participation group will also be reporting progress against outcomes. And actually, the children and young people in your school will have undertaken an initial evaluation and will also be reporting on what progress they see in how inclusive their school now feels. And at the end of it, that is what is officially the end of the PINS pilot programme. As a partnership, we would like to take that learning forward and make it a sustainable part of how we work together. So we would like, with your support partner, to review the learning, agree what improvements and input we could sustain going forward, and how that might shape how you work with other services across Surrey Education Services and Health going forward. So if I take you on to the next slide, please. And oh, sorry, I'm just waiting for it to catch up with me. So as I mentioned before, it is the value of the partnership approach with families in your school community is, I think, the most exciting and probably the most valuable part of the PINS project. Everything about PINS is based on the 3-way relationship between, well, 4-way, schools, local authority, health, and families. And the families in your school already are the families that we will draw on to be part of the parent participation group. So they know your school, they have positive views about it, they will undoubtedly have ideas about how you might be able to improve things, and they can bring their skills and their support to that. We also have the opportunity to ask the pupils in your school to share their views about what's working well and what could be improved, and they will see those areas for improvement through a different lens, but their input will be no less valuable. Family Voice Surrey will be facilitating the development of the parent participation groups for each school. So they will be reaching out to the 40 schools who have been identified or put forward, and they will be working with you to communicate with all the families in your school to ask them would they like to be part of the participation group. And please remember, this is going to be a very positive experience. This is what we want it for everybody. This is about everybody coming together to improve that sense of belonging and inclusion for children. We absolutely do not want this to become a negative thing. So I see it as a supportive opportunity. And as far as possible, the topics that we will be delivered to the parent participation groups, so they will meet 3 times a year as well to talk about their experiences as parents and what they think could be better. They're going to focus on the same areas for development that you as a school will be doing. So if we chose something like how to, I don't know, emotional regulation in school, we will also be able to deliver some training to that parent participation group about how to mirror those effective strategies in the home, so that parents have a shared understanding of what works. And that starts to open up some really positive conversations between class teachers and parents and people starting to work collaboratively to change the outcomes for their children. The parent participation groups will aim to work in absolute co-production with the schools. As I said, we want to develop or strengthen those positive relationships. But they can also act as a really good critical friend for you and help you reflect on areas where perhaps from a parent or a child's perspective, things do not feel as inclusive as you might believe they are. And absolutely to work cooperatively with the school to enable both parent carers and children to have their voices heard in an ongoing way, particularly those children with additional needs, I think, whose voices often aren't heard as frequently. But we will be, as a partnership, we will be supporting the parent participation groups as well as the schools. So our support partners will be there to ensure that the balance between the parent participation group and the school is maintained in a really good way. I'm going to hand over to Dave now to talk about the support element of the PINS project.
And just out of an abundance of enthusiasm, and sorry to labour the point, it's just really exciting.
No, please do.
That parental engagement piece. I just think it's so positive from a participation or a building partnerships in the community, building that sense of belonging. It's so protective in terms of more vulnerable families, and also that empowering piece as well. It kind of highlights the significance of school in a young person's lived experience of inclusion, but also the significance of home as well in that lived experience. Speaking to some individual casework, I think when things get stuck, sometimes when there's not a shared understanding of what inclusion looks like, or how to balance empathy and challenge, or young person skills with environmental change. So really good as part of the PINS project that's explicit and funded from the get-go. So in terms of support partner, this is the other thing that I'm really enthusiastic about. This is really a strong focus on implementation and not just that kind of train and hope for the best. That we sometimes fall into that kind of trap. So this is all about really investing and being supported by a linked person, kind of guiding you through that self-evaluation process, helping you navigate what can sometimes be quite a complex labyrinth of offer and support, but also just kind of balance empathy, listening, and a little bit of encouragement and challenge at times around, okay, so this is the need, this is the outcome we're aspiring towards. How are we actually going to implement this following training, this activity or other? How are we going to link together these different strands that we're working towards? Just that kind of supportive, consultative approach with a real focus on um, maintaining, embedding, and achieving lasting outcomes. Because it's quite an investment of time to pull staff together for training. It's a risk sometimes, isn't it, to ask staff to be doing more or holding in mind more. And if we're asking that, we need to make sure that it's leading to good outcomes and it's maintained. Yes, so that's what the support partner does, and hopefully just a friendly link into the broader system.
Thank you, Dave. Right. So moving on to the menu of support, this is DFE NHS England phraseology, but it is in effect we have a template which we can personalize based on resources and support and training which is already available across the partnership, or ones that we might like to access from our third sector partners. But the menu of support will be linked to the 6 domains that are linked to the Ofsted framework. So as a school, you will be able to use the impact of pins to demonstrate the activity that you have at your next Ofsted inspection. So there is a benefit to there as well. And you'll see those are the sort of key subsections that they're focusing on. So I'm going to take that. That's really, I'm not going to read them out. They're all extremely boring. But I'd like to just take you over to the next one where Dave's going to talk you through in a bit more detail. But we have developed some examples of the kind of training and resources that may be available from the menu of support. Now, I'd just like to clarify, the menu of support has not yet been developed. And that is a piece of work in progress, but I'm going to pass over to Dave to talk about the benefits of some of the example strategies and training offers which might be useful in this to support the inclusion of ND children.
Thanks, Jackie. And then you can see how this links into those different categories of need or focus areas from the previous slide. And yeah, to emphasize, it's a work in progress. And I think one of the things we're really grateful for today is, in the Menti coming up, a chance to co-produce. What are the needs as you see them, with your day-to-day expertise on what it is and what it requires to make an inclusive community. So I'm just looking forward to hearing what the ideas are, and that will inform how we progress. That said, as things stand, it's just a moment to reflect and recognise there's so much support and training out there already. There's loads of things going on in Surrey, all of those things listed on the screen just now. And the PINS process will be a bit of a matching activity with the support of your support partner. So you do your self-evaluation, you have a conversation with your support partner, and as a result, you'll be securing support. Maybe that looks like training that best supports your aspirations around ND and inclusion. And just loads of really good evidence-based practice in this list here and in the menu that we'll co-produce. I'm a particular fan of emotion coaching. I think that's such a powerful whole school interaction approach that works for all children, young people, and therefore facilitates inclusion for those with individual difference. For me, I'm really, really positive around, and one of the psychology quotes I hold close to my heart is, every interaction is an intervention. That's why I'm really positive on things like emotion coaching, because that's not wait so many years for 6 hours of therapy, for example, which has its place. But in terms of day-to-day interactions, day-to-day change and inclusive communities, we're really looking at changing the 50, 100, 1,000 over the course of a school week interactions and individual experiences. That's just my vote for emotion coaching. But you can look down that list. Zones of regulation, I know, is a really powerful kind of self-care and emotional regulation curriculum that can be differentiated for all sorts of needs. That's embedded in lots of Surrey schools to great effect. Likewise, attention autism, either as a group or an individual intervention. I think I'm just kind of highlighting there's lots out there. You'll have experienced some of these already, and that's why the support partner in that conversation around implementation or gaps will just help add on the thing that is most relevant, given the mix of things that are already having good effect in your organisation. And I'm sure there are gaps and amazing ideas that we'd love to hear about later as well.
Lovely, right. I'm hoping that everybody has had a chance to scan the Menti QR code. I saw Aggie popped it in the chat there. If you didn't get a chance to pick it up, it is again on the screen for you. And I'm just going to give us a moment or two. If people could maybe just give a thumbs up to say that they have managed to access it, that would be absolutely great.
I'll share the screen with
yeah.
the outcome, so I'm just going to switch it around a little bit.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're seeing lots of thumbs up coming up, which is great. I'll just give, oh, right. Oh, we've got stuff coming up already. I'm going to give this a good couple of minutes because I think this is such an important part for us because I said, while you're all writing, we're having our first task and finish group tomorrow to talk to colleagues from across the partnership about what training support they think they can offer. But what we really want to do is make sure that we are offering what schools think they need and to really involve you in that co-production element from the outset. So this is really valuable to us. You'll be our first bit of input into our initial task and finish group. Oh, this is well, it's great seeing so much coming through. I can see masking is coming through really, really strongly. And I know that some of the training that's been delivered previously has been so well received. I think what I'm seeing here is that we'd like more around that. So that's something we can take tomorrow. I'm really interesting that somebody's picked up on wellbeing support for LSAs because that's something that we've also been talking about. It's that thing around staff resilience, and because if staff do not feel resilient and don't feel safe and well supported, then it is really hard for them to effectively support children. So, yeah, that's definitely something that we want to be doing. Anxiety, I think, is going to come through a lot, not just related to autism, but actually just that rise of sort of more low-level anxiety in children and how best to deal with that. Changing behaviour policies, and that's a really interesting one. I think we could do lots of great work around that, and I'm glad somebody's put that down. And I see somebody's mentioned staff anxiety there. So yeah, definitely something around what we can do in terms of leadership and culture, in terms of supporting whole school staff. Oh, this is fantastic. There was something, sorry, I just spotted something really interesting, and now it keeps moving in a very good way. So sensory, I'm not surprised is coming up a lot. I know we've had this conversations with our early years colleagues about children moving into reception and that understanding of how to meet some of those more sensory seeking needs as well at an early level. PDA is one that we hear consistently. And I think, again, we'll bring that up tomorrow with colleagues. Somebody's just put theory of mind in there, which is really interesting, and I'd love to explore that a little bit more. And parent expectations of support. Well, I think, people who've written there about parents' expectations, this is where the beauty of PINS and working with that parent participation group will come into itself. It's around having that shared understanding and sometimes breaking down some of those odd myths that have built up over time. And hopefully we will really be able to support you in doing that work around managing parents' expectations. And that's not about saying we don't believe parents or we're ignoring their views. It's around how can we have a shared understanding of the needs of a child. There's developing scripts, really interesting ideas here, an autism-friendly review, promoting good mental health. Yeah, it's some fantastic ideas in here. Being kind. Actually, sometimes we forget the simple things. There is a whole school thing around being kind to each other as well as the children. As adults, we're not always the best at it either. EBSNA, we know, is a huge piece of work, and I think I'll just get a quick plug in it. I did notice that Dave, you and Nicola are doing a webinar in September, I think, isn't it? 2-hour webinar on EBSNA, so hopefully
we do a whole school EBSNA training every term.
Right, there you go. So
I'll just draw some of those themes together, though, really helpfully. The PDA, EBSNA, and also working with parents. I think that kind of striking the balance between empathy and challenge, fair expectations, and the partnership, which is so critical to good outcomes in that area. Really, really important theme to pick out.
There is so much valuable input here, and I see somebody's popped in nurture there as well now, which is interesting, given that I know possibly some schools in this call have applied for the first phase of the nurture hubs. Just to say, if you have applied to be a nurture hub or to start that training, you can still absolutely be a PINS pilot school, because the two things go hand in hand. And my colleagues who are leading on the nurture hub work are absolutely in support of the PINS work. So please don't feel it's one or the other. What we're doing through this program, we hope, will support so much activity that's already happening across Surrey.
You can really see how through the partnership with the support partner, you're going to get some very different projects on a case-by-case basis. You have some schools suggesting here very distressed behavior, maybe that kind of complex persistent EBSNA or PDA type profile, and that'll be, bespoke training or support around particular small populations, whereas others are talking about kind of whole school resilience or promoting good mental health, that kind of preventative thriving piece, and that'll be a very different menu of support or selection from a menu.
The thing I'd spotted there, and it was just a one-off, but I'm really interested, is it's around the autism and trauma, because I think very often we forget to talk about trauma with our ND children, and there often can be an awful lot of trauma-related things in this. So it would be great, I think, for certain areas, for certain school demographics, some work around trauma and family resilience and poor parental mental health could be a really exciting opportunity to have a discussion there as well. And I think we know that puts a lot of pressure on staff, because families can also become very dependent on school staff. So again, that's just another example of how we can tailor our approach to your school and what you feel. you need. I'm going to give it one more minute. I almost don't want to stop this, but I can see it saying, but it's absolutely amazing seeing all of this coming through. And I think we have a lot to take away here. And seeing self-harm, self-injury coming up a few more times now. And I think that's somewhere that we, again, that's a very specific area, but definitely something that we could be working with CBT approaches. There's another new bit in there. Right. Okay, I'm going to regrettably close the thing now. Aggie, is it possible to leave it up running in the background?
It will carry on.
Oh, it will
I'm just
carry
gonna
on.
bring
Lovely.
us. I'm just gonna bring us back to the slide.
Yep, sure. So if anybody's in Menti, you can continue to add any last points, and please do. While we just, I'd just take you through the last one or two slides, and then we can open up for some questions, and we'll leave the Menti screen open if people want to continue adding to it until the meeting closes. So next steps, key dates. If you haven't already done so, and after this presentation, you would like to, please do submit your expression of interest by the PINS webpage. All the details are on there. Submissions close midnight on the 27th of May, so we've given you a little bit of time after term ends. The DFE and NHS England have set a limit of 40 primary schools. That's not a Surrey limit. I wish we could do more, but 40 is what we're limited to. So if more than 40 schools submit an expression of interest, we will have to consider developing and applying selection criteria. We will make them as limited as possible. So, for example, if we had multiple schools from the same multi-academy trust, we may have a conversation with the trust about proposing one or two schools at the most instead of several. If less than 40 schools submit an expression of interest, we will offer it county-wide. At the moment, it has only been offered to schools in the northwest and the southeast of Surrey. Just for absolute clarity, the reason that we have chosen to offer in the northwest and the southeast is, well, number one, Surrey's very big, so that was an awful lot of primary schools to send if we were going to do it county-wide. But in terms of the demand for ND referrals and ND support, the northwest and the southeast are the areas with the highest demand. So we thought it was really appropriate to come out to these two areas first. The 40 selected schools will be contacted directly by the PINS project team. So please watch out for emails from pins@surreycc.gov.uk. Make sure we're on your safe senders list so that we can get our emails through to you. And we will keep this rolling with follow-up information sharing sessions for the 40 schools selected. And we're really keen to try and start developing communities of practice across those schools. So just back to what Dave was saying there about there being things that, around sort of the PDA, extremes of behaviour, perhaps schools that are identifying similar types of need and who are accessing similar training, we might want to bring them together in a small community practice so they can work collaboratively, share what they've learned, perhaps undertake some training together. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Dave. You probably explained it better than me.
No, I think that was exactly right. It's a place to share good practice, encourage one another, and do some collaborative problem solving.
Yeah, so it's that's it from us. So the effect we aren't any questions. So I can answer these three questions here were submitted in advance. Thank you to who did it. Question one, will it require whole staff training? I think the answer to that right now is that there is no one size fits all for any school. So we will be delivering training flexibly, but it very much depends on what the training is, who the target audience is. So there may be times when whole school training would be appropriate. But actually, I think we'll be discussing that with each of you, with your support partner, around what can we make work for your school. When we deliver it, how we deliver it, and who the target audience is. So very simply, we will do our best to work around the commitments that you already have. Is it? Oh, no.
Sorry, Jack, I just want to add in, and this is not specifically the question, but I guess it will require a bit of organizational capacity. This is very much a doing something collaborative. Whole school change does need senior leadership team buy-in, and it will need some kind of space, and yeah, they'll be flexible, bespoke, but I guess there's a little reflection around, if there's already lots and lots of things and change happening, is there the organizational capacity to take on another thing from a staff wellbeing point of view?
That's a really good point. Thank you. So yes, that is something definitely to reflect on. And, you know, if you want to have a conversation with somebody from the PINS team about that before you put in an expression of interest, please drop us an email or pop something in the chat here and we can have somebody to have a chat with you, because it may be that, you know, there is some work which you've already got planned this year, which might align really nicely with some of the PINS delivery. But, you know, let's have that conversation. But yes, this is a partnership and it will require some input and commitment from every school. Is it time bonded, by which we took to mean the delivery period? So it is from September to March of next year is the official run of the pipe. Well, actually, it starts from now because your self-evaluation will be done before this academic year ends. But the delivery of training and the evaluation at the end will be completed by March. But as I touched on earlier, we'd really like to see how sustainable we can make this longer term so that schools are able to carry forward. And what form will the support take? Hopefully that the menu of support will have given you an outline of the type of support. Add to that the offer of a support partner from within our services that will work with you. And it will, so I think it's about the best offer of support that we can make is that an individual that is there to stand by you and help facilitate, as well as the offer of up to 5 days of flexibly delivered training or resources. So but that the menu of support is yet to be finalised. I can see some some questions coming up in the chat. So I'm just going to, move the questions. Sorry, done that wrong. Just going to get the questions up and see if I can just answer any of these at the moment.
Do you want me to read them, Jackie? Are you okay?
Yeah, well, I can just, do you want to read them out and I'll see if we can answer them?
There's a few questions I was just waiting for you to finish. They've answered the first one, which was, is there a cost to the project?
Yeah.
The next question was, how is the parents' participation group chosen?
Right, so I can explain that in a little bit more detail. So the parent participation group will be parents from your school. So there are families that are already known. Family Voice Surrey will work with you to send out a letter to all parents in your school, parent carers, explaining what the participation group is and inviting them to take part. And so they will act as a mixture of both a critical friend and it's an opportunity for those parents to learn more about what schools are doing to become more inclusive and to support children. So they will be the parents from your own school. And I think that means that they have the insight around the particular issues which might be facing any schools. And it would be very good, I should also say, if you could have your SEND governor perhaps involved in all of this work as well. Because having a SEND governor who can also help influence leadership and policy and decision making could be a huge asset to this.
Thanks, Jackie. And the next question is about the pilot itself. Like, if school is not successful this time around, will there be another opportunity for this pilot to run again?
Right. So this is always the $1 million question. I said it's a Department for Education, NHS England funded pilot. This PINS pilot is based on a previous one, which was autism in schools, which originally started in the Northeast and then was rolled out across a number of other adopted counties in about 2 years ago. And autism in schools was really, really successful, but it was also very autism focused. So they took the learning from that and have developed the PINS approach instead. And one of the things that came out of autism in schools was the importance of the parent participation element. I would like to hope that if this is effective, we will see it being rolled out again, and we will see more schools being involved. But every local authority is delivering this to 40 schools. Now, of course, that means that some London boroughs got almost all of their primary schools, and some are the size of Surrey is a bit disadvantaged. It would be nice if we could have done it for 100 schools, but we probably didn't have the capacity right now. I'd like to think so. I think, though, what I would say is that even if it's not rolled out as an official PINS project, what I would like is that as part of our early intervention approaches, that we look at how we could continue to deliver a model that builds on the learning from this going forward, because I think it will be really, really important in terms of shaping how we work with families, how we work with schools going forward. So no promises, but I would really like to hope that if we do a good job and if the outcomes are positive, then yes, we will be able to continue doing this. Next question.
Thank you. That's all, Jackie. There's no other questions in the
Okay.
chat, unless there's some hands up.
There's a couple in the Q&A tab up at the top.
Very good, Dave.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So in terms of hearing if your school's been selected, that would be after the applications close on the 27th. I would think it will be probably going to be that the second week of June at the latest. So we will have to meet back as a partnership core group if there are more than 40 schools, but we would hope to get back to people as quickly as possible because we need to allocate you your support partners and get the self-evaluation done. Do Surrey now recognise PDA? That's actually a question which is outside of my technical knowledge at the moment because I'm not quite sure. Dave might know the answer.
I think that's a piece of work currently happening. And
right.
Jane Gupta is in the chat if you wanted to comment on the progress there, but it's being looked at by a multi-professional health and education team right now.
Okay.
Regardless of PDA, we certainly recognise anxious avoidance, the range of needs associated with diagnosis or otherwise.
Jane, I can see you've got your hand up. Do you want to come in on that one, please, and give everybody an update? I'm sure Jane just had her hand up. I was going mad. No, she didn't. Right. Okay. I was making it up. Oh, you can't unmute. So, oh, right. Sorry. We've got them muted. I do apologise. Can we?
I did. I've just unmuted everyone when we start taking questions.
Okay,
So everyone
Jane, you might be able to talk
okay
now. Sorry, Jane.
Everyone can hear you.
That's
There
okay.
we go. Perfect.
I was disempowered there. Yeah,
You
so
were
you're right.
disempowered.
You're right, Dave. So under the All Age Autism Strategy, we've got a group of partners working collaboratively on the PD8 position statement. So we're revisiting that and hoping to launch that with a firm validation that PDA does exist and a firm reassurance that we do need to be doing something about it. It'll be short, sharp and sweet, but we're going to be we're hopefully launching that for September. But yeah, it's at the moment we're in the process of working in a collaborative way with all our wonderful partners that are helping us write it.
Thank you very much, Jane. It was brilliant that you're in the room. We got that sorted. Oh, I can see another question's probably just. Oh no, that was you too. And is there anything else in the Q&A? It looks as if something else has just. But I think we've answered all the questions. If you do have any further questions that come into your mind as you're cooking dinner tonight, as questions often do, or driving home, drop us an email, pins@surreycc.gov.uk. We will get back to you. Please watch the local offer webpage. We'll be posting the recording up there, the FAQs. Thank you so much again for all of your time today. It's been brilliant talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to being able, we are looking forward to working in partnership with you going forward. Thank you very much again for your time, and please do submit an expression of interest if you're still up for it. Okay, goodbye everybody.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.